I've known him for 31 years now, and I have zero negative things to say about him. And I can't say that about most people in my life. There's always something,
Sure.
whether no matter how pessimistic I try to be, I'm like, oh, vetting people or talking about, pros and cons. This guy consistently, just never fails to be the positive thing.
We talked about earlier today building this mentoring site, right? And we're all the product of mentors. We all have experience mentoring other people. So I wanted to kind of tease that out a little bit and talk about some of our experiences in and around mentoring. So as we're going through here, think of the time when somebody came in and made a real big impact on your life, or think of a time where, as a mentor, you were able to reach in and kind of get somebody back on track, push them in the right direction. Just do a quick discussion about this, and then wrap up with some final thoughts.
Outstanding. Good
So,
subject.
Greg, why don't you kick us off?
I get to go first?
Yeah,
That's,
you said that you had a good story.
Yeah, it's funny they threw this subject at me, and I stumbled a little bit because I've got a ton of mentors, but I just couldn't pull it out of my head. But the one person that probably made the biggest impact in my life was a gentleman by the name of Al Jones, Marine, Vietnam, first group, in the shit, just rough as could be. And he got out of the Marine Corps and he was really into diving. And so he opened a scuba school, which everybody that opens a scuba school thinks they're going to make $1 million immediately. It's just like instant fame, right? You're going to make millions of dollars. And of course, it's a mom and pop business, and he was poor as the devil. And so anyway, I met him, and I was doing pretty well, and we were in Southern California. I was deeply, and if anybody's ever lived in Southern California, they know that you're just, your hair's on fire. That's why I have none anymore. And you're just busy because Southern California moves at a pace that no other place does. And I met him, and he convinced me that I should learn to scuba dive, and I had no interest at that particular time. I'd done it before in the past, but I really didn't have any interest in learning. And he convinced me to come down, and I bought equipment, and because of course I got to have my own equipment if I'm gonna do something cool like that. If I'm gonna go in and into an environment where I have to have life-saving equipment, I don't want to use somebody else's nasty spit infested shit, right? So literally from the minute I took the first class, I was hooked, and I never gave it up. And even though I was running my own business at the time and we were working hideous hours, I found every available moment to go continue my training. So I got through my open water and just continued, and it never stopped. So I then became an assistant instructor, literally dove every opportunity I could, dove every weekend. When I got a class, I started helping with classes. And that, over the years, progressed to my first instructor rating, one of many. And when I look back on that, I realize how much it changed my life, because he had a connection in the Cayman Islands, which, so all I heard was the Cayman Islands. And, I'd fallen in love with this new sport, and I'd never done anything that completely encompassed my mind. As soon as I realized that I could live underwater, it absorbed my life. And I started realizing there was a better way to live. And of course, being strung out on living in California, stressed out all the time, moving 1,000 miles an hour, I found that when I'd gone out underwater, it was quiet, and it was peaceful, and I didn't have to listen to people say things. And it was a new place for me. And that quickly transitioned to literally giving up my business, quitting, everything that I was doing, literally throwing all my stuff in a 40-foot dumpster. And I just literally left one day for the Cayman Islands, a small 12-mile island, 80 miles east of Grand Cayman, which everybody knows. So it was a tiny little island, the islands were 50, 60 years ago. And I showed up with a longboard, skateboard, a bag of dive gear, and a backpack full of shorts and tank tops. And my plan was that I was going to check out from California, turn my brain off, and just enjoy doing what I was going to do. And I have no idea how this happened, but then suddenly 20 years went away, just vanished in a poof of smoke. And so when I think about mentors, I think about how radically he changed my life, by how my forward progress was business, and grind. And then I just suddenly locked up the brakes, put the emergency brake on, and stepped out of the roller coaster and found myself moving at the speed of a snail. And it probably was the best 2 decades of my life. And then as we get further into the elite use, some of you guys will find out what happened after that and how I transitioned back into moving at the speed of light once again. Yeah, so Al Jones, former Marine, God rest his soul. Agent Orange ended up taking him out. He ended up dying of cancer from Agent Orange. And probably one of the best guys I ever knew, and introduced me to something that's still in my soul every day.
Yeah, so you listen to your mentor and you end up jobless and homeless. That's
I did,
a great
absolutely,
story.
man. Best move of my life. That's exactly it. Yep.
But for somebody else to see, from an outside perspective, that the things that you valued were taking you in a direction that was harmful for your life, right? You probably
Absolutely.
wouldn't still be with us if you were running 100 miles an hour.
Absolutely. Radically changed my life.
That's awesome.
Yep. At the time, I didn't know, but certainly radically changed my life.
Perfect.
Good stuff.
Next.
Ooh, me. Well, I was gonna say my dad, but in thinking about it, my mom.
Yeah.
Mentor-wise, some of the influences your life, and mom influenced it in the way that she went through life. I mean, she's still alive. She's still a firecracker. She's 5 foot, and she just doesn't stop. I come from a big family. This is a lot of us. And she raised us. She ran a bunch of schools. So committing her life to social work. Deaf schools. So I was raised in Pakistan. My parents run schools for the deaf. But mom was the principal for the schools. She would have us there teaching and helping with the kids. She would be pregnant with the next one while taking care of us while running other schools as well. She gave me the overall mindset that it's like as you can do anything. You just have to put your mind to it. You can either be soft and weak and, everything can be a trouble and a burden, or you can go after it, I guess. You can do a bunch of different things and stay strong, and nothing is really impossible. And yeah, mom, the G.
Mom.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, thank you. Up to you.
Well,
You're up.
my stepdad, my stepfather, easy day. I mean, as far as I've had a lot of positive influences in my life, a lot of mentors, a lot of people that have taken me under their wing or literally stood right next to me when stuff was really bad. But when I go back to growing up and just being in those formative years as a young man, there was influences here, influences there, but it wasn't until I was about 16 when I met him, when him and my mother got together. He's like 9 years older than me, which is kind of a weird dynamic for the family, when you think about it. I was 16 and my future stepfather was 25. So yeah, but yeah, just over the years, as the more I think about the the commitment to our family and the sacrifices that everybody made, I wouldn't have been able to do the things that I did based on what he did for us so early on. And beyond that, at a time where, again, very formative years in my life, to have the type of influence that he was, to kind of show me that there was a different road ahead, and to follow, and to just it was a really, really good baseline for somebody at that point. We've all been 16 and remember if there wasn't a vector there, how you could go one of several ways. And luckily for me, I had him there every day with me to kind of push me in the right direction during that last launch before I left home at 18. But
So tell me about a time when you did something that really sticks with you today.
Without getting into details, I mean, there was some bad times and there were some really good times with the family, but he was always the consistent, not mediator, but the one that had the definite decision and the push for the correct outcome. And whether you were able to assist with that or whether he did the things on his own, it really showed me the good things about both ways.
Modeling behavior over time.
Well, there you go. Yeah, just you're good at putting what I'm trying to say, brief and concise. but yeah. So and it's continued. You know, I can say a lot of things about a lot of folks in my life, but I've known him for 31 years now, and I have zero negative things to say about him. And I can't say that about most people in my life. There's always something.
Sure.
You know, no matter how pessimistic I try to be, I'm like, oh yeah, vetting people or talking about, you know, pros and cons. You know, this guy consistently, you know, just never fails to never fails to be the positive thing. You know, even, you know, when I think about where we are in general as a society, with people that are just willing to do the bare minimum, just enough to not get fired, you know. And I think of folks like my stepfather, who has always been consistently really ahead of the game. He's been a union guy for a really long time, and guys just, they admire him. They choose to follow him. He's ran for certain positions like unopposed for, you know, 15, 20 years now. And it's just to see him, and even to go to him with, not sure what I'm going to do at this step in my life. You know, if you were me, you know, what would you do? You know, and his outcomes and his options were always very favorable. You know, and a lot of things have worked out better because I have him in my life.
Yes. Born leader.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So, and with that, I mean, he's, you know, when you think in terms of leaders, you think of the person that's in the highest position in an organization, you know, but with those type of people, it was some kind of little comparison. It's like being a leader. You can't, if you have to remind people that you probably are not. And he just kind of like, he comes into any situation and literally just dominates it, takes it over. And it's not the hammer fisted, you know, aggressive approach. It's just his demeanor, his disposition about everything. You know, he's the boss. When he walks in a room, he's the boss.
I like that.
I try to aspire to that as much as I can.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed that content, we have more videos over here for you to check out. For those of you looking to enhance your knowledge, make sure that you go over to eliteu.com, where you will have early release of YouTube videos and access to exclusive content. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.